Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Oceano Advisory Council, the June 9th meeting, to order, and we'll start by taking the roll. Council Member Villa.
Here.
OBCA Alternative Representative Bonnie.
Here.
And Chair Charles Varney here, and April Dury is absent. We'll start with the flag salute. Ready, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. So our first order of business, sure wish I had that agenda in front of me or be able to pull it up here on the overhead. Do you happen to have it in front of you, Aline?
I can.
Oh, wait a minute, I know what I can do. Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
Okay, public comments for items not on the agenda, guest reports.
Thank you. We see no guests here or anybody to do a presentation. We'll move on to, I think we're moving on to
Review and approval of minutes.
Oh, right, thank you. So the minutes have been distributed and posted for the May 19th meeting. Are there any corrections or modifications that anybody wants to present?
The correction I present is that I was not at that meeting. I was in Palm Springs. I think it's listed that I was there, but I wasn't.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll make that correction. Any others? Okay, given that we have one correction, accepted one correction, I need a motion to approve the May 19th minutes.
I move we approve the minutes with the correction.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes have been approved.
New business.
And under what's I'm
We
sorry.
didn't have anything under new business, but we have old business. We have the vacation rental ordinance.
Right. So there was nothing under new business. Under the vacation rental ordinance, we were going to have a report tonight. We don't have it. I know that, some of us reviewed it again for tonight's meeting, and certainly it'd be appropriate if there's any comments or, discussion that we want to bring forward. I think just by way of intro to this, this document has been in its current form for quite a few months. It is probably the third draft of vacation rental ordinance, and it is I think a little bit disorganized in that there is a section. Wait, let me back up. There are unanswered questions in here around the issue of what kind of restraints, if any, do we want to propose on vacation rentals? And we came into this with the notion that we did want to propose constraints on them, like pretty much every other coastal unincorporated community has, and every coastal incorporated city has. We haven't. And we have, all of the concerns that are listed in that document as sort of justification for bringing about some, control over the situation are, the ones that have impacted every other community in our county that has moved forward with it. For some of them, one or two may be their priority, and maybe there's other priorities. But by and large, those top 3-4 things in terms of protecting housing stock and neighborhood quality and the others are kind of the core ones. But in terms of the kind of the unanswered question, and there's that section in there where there's kind of a listing of like, well, here's something we could do, or this option, or this option, or this option. And what we were discussing last month on the 19th, and I might have just kind of floated the idea of, I guess for me, and I think for us as a council, we've had this setting here for quite a while, and we'd like to move it forward into the process, which basically means submitting it to the supervisors and really to the planning department for their review of it, its legality, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to make a decision on what is the limitation that we want to put in there, and knowing that this obviously has not come into the big room of public discussion. I mean, we agendaize it on our meeting. We typically don't have anybody come that wants to speak to it or address it, but I don't interpret that as meaning that there won't be serious consideration of it, and both serious support and serious pushback on it. And I personally, I think we just need to get it into the system so we can start that whole community discussion process. And so that's where and then we ended up the meeting on the 19th with April saying she wanted to bring in current updated data, and in terms of exactly how many we have and what's going on, and some of the discrepancies around places that are being advertised as vacation rentals. And remember, we're talking about vacant homes or apartments or condos that are, have a property owner, but they are being actively rented out under maybe under or not under the guidelines of vacation rentals. And those housing units are essentially off the market for residents, which is part of the whole issue of impact on housing availability. That was kind of a long riff. Let me just shut up and see what you guys have to say, and what we want to do with this tonight. Bonnie, you said was this the first time you had kind of gone over that document?
It is the first time I've kind of gone over this document. I also went back and looked at, if you remember, the residential vacation rental ordinance that one of the students at Cal Poly did, which was
Right.
a long document. And I did not go through that in depth because it is a big document.
She did a good job on that.
She did a really good job on that. So I didn't know how much we need to pull from that. Are you in, I mean, I only made a couple notes. I mean, it sort of boils it down to the essence here of the vacation rentals. Is it something where we write the ordinance we want and then present it? And it does go to two different places. The one has to go, I noted on the amendment process, the coastal has to go through the coastal commission, and then the inland has to go through the planning department and in the county.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point.
So I didn't know how much of the one that Cal Poly did that we want to incorporate, or where do we simply write the ordinance as we would like it and then go from there? I'm not sure what the next step is.
Well, I can answer the question about, so the draft ordinance that we have is by and large a cut and paste of existing adopted ordinances. And also from the Cal Poly report that has all of the regulations in terms of, you know, the
Different types.
yeah, what's in existence right now. The existing, I mean, the county does have some regulations, and the Coastal Commission has more extensive regulations. So those are embodied, or at least, I mean, those should all be embodied in the document that we have. That was the intent in putting it together. So using the current regulations, and then incorporating quite a bit from the Los Osos vacation rental ordinance, Morro Bay vacation rental ordinance, and also the Cambria, maybe some from Morro Bay. So it's an amalgamation, but they all are drawn from approved documents. There isn't really much in here. I mean, certainly I may have taken some liberty in terms of, I mean, kind of trying to pull it together as a coherent document, but by and large, it's all, there's nothing new here that hasn't been done already. Although I think that what I was proposing last month of, you know, just to make it kind of clean, that no, you know, a limit, which is common, and depending on how people, you know, it might be like no more than 2 vacation rentals on a block or whatever. On the beach side, no more than 100 vacation rentals, and as you heard me say before, on the inland side, no new vacation rentals. I mean, that's you know, maybe more radical or restrictive than other people would like. I mean, certainly I'm sure there's many people who would find that too restrictive. Whether we want to go forward with that to just like have something definitive for people to respond to, and then we can start fleshing out the process of refining the document that, you know, reflects more the, if that doesn't reflect the desire of the community, then, you know, how can we balance it out?
So are you saying we want to basically write the ordinance?
Yes, that's our job. Yeah, we're writing the ordinance, a draft of the ordinance, and we send it to the planning department, I guess, Shawnee, and we talked with Shawnee and what was our other planner? Can't remember her name, slipping my mind. The one that left for greener pastures. Anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, I've thought this is very necessary for numerous years now. So anything to push this along, I only have a couple nitpicky notes on here, and that's all. Yeah.
Okay. What, you know, I don't think, well, Elaine, do you want to wade in with your thoughts on it? Then what we want to do.
Yeah, well, I know you put a lot of work into this, Charles, and we've had various discussions in the last couple of years about this. So I think we're like, I'm kind of, okay, let's just now get it approved and get community input so that we would have an easier time getting it approved. You know, maybe we could discuss the 100 limit on the coastal side sounds good to me because it's not that large of an area. But then again, having 0 here might be a little too strict for some people. I don't know if it will, you know, some people might not approve of it as easily as if you were to say, okay, we'll have 20 vacation rentals inland or something like that.
So and this is why I think we're in a sense we're a little dark on what the facts are, but what I recall April saying, I mean, right now I think there's about 20 vacation rentals on the inland side,
Okay.
and so those would be, and it may not be explicit in here, but those would be grandmothered in.
Mhm.
I mean, they're already permitted. It's would not be ethical or to come in and I think try and pull their permits.
No.
And but I mean, for me, it's more, if we really want to put teeth in the notion of vacation rentals negatively impact housing stock for local residents, then why would we? I got somebody come. Okay, April's coming in now. Perfect timing. I don't know why it would make sense to.
It doesn't sound like the inland one is increased a lot. I think 2018 they had 17. So now if you got 20, it's not like it's ballooned out of control or anything.
Well, this is
Like
April.
it seems like, I mean, so it seems like, 17, 20. I think she had I think when she did it, she did like a percentage of, what was there. This should be it. The coast should be at a certain percentage and the inland should be at a certain percentage. So, but it's probably easier to do numbers than to do percentages.
Well, I think for people's basic understanding, numbers. I mean, we could give the percentage, but they need.
Easier to do numbers than percentages.
And
Yeah.
April right now is in the process of coming into the meeting, so maybe she'll have some numbers for us. Hi.
There, sorry, I'm running late and I'm not sure that the audio is working.
We can hear you.
Okay, because I heard Bonnie trying to talk and it was very garbled, and it's telling me my quality's low, just so you guys know.
Okay. Well, it's really good timing. I mean, we're talking about you. I mean, I expressed the concern or worry about you because I hadn't heard from you. I'm glad.
No, I apologize. I did not mean to forget that it started at 6:30. That was totally my fault. And as soon as I remembered, I ran over to log in. So I apologize for that.
Well, it's good timing because we're talking about the vacation rental ordinance, and it was basically the discussion, I think kind of a reiteration of the discussion we had at the last meeting, although Bonnie's reviewed the entire document, and so she has been sharing her feedback on it.
Okay. And I'll listen to the meeting when it's posted so that I can be caught up with everything. You guys don't have to be held up by me being a little late.
Well, it's Bonnie, why don't you give your quick summary of what you were just sharing, and it's perfect. We were just getting to where, like, well, what are the numbers, and in terms of what's the current status of on the beach side and on the inland side, and so after Bonnie gives her little summary, you can know what her perspective is, and
Okay, yeah, I'd love to hear it.
for any information you have.
Oh, I don't know if I have a summary. I think this has been necessary for 4 years or more now. So I'm really glad to see it happen. And how do we move it along? Yeah, I only have a couple nitpicky things in here, but
Okay.
otherwise, how do we move this along?
Mm-hmm. And so I think, yeah, that's the big question before us. And I kind of went back to my, the 100, let's say 100 on the beach side and 0 new ones on the inland side and run that up the flagpole and then start dealing with all the feedback that it'll generate and to move the ordinance forward. So what do you have to share with this, April?
Well, the first thing I have to share is full disclosure, which is I have not dived back into the rental agreement because I got sidetracked on the Oceano Airport. And a wealth of information I've learned more about that we will not talk about now because now's not the time. But that is why I haven't dived right back into the vacation rental. I thought our next meeting was next Thursday, so I missed it by a day, I think. So one thing that I have been doing is every time I run across any article, whether it's California specific or a touristy place in general, like Hawaii, let's say, or Florida, etc. I look for and find these articles about what those areas are dealing with the short-term vacation rentals, and how they are trying to curb it because it's become detrimental. The same things that we've said for 2 years about how it's eating up our local housing stock and making it so that locals don't have a place to live. This is going across the country, across America. I mean, I can't speak for other countries, but Florida, Hawaii, California, Oregon, all kinds of places are suffering this because we're traveling and houses aren't available. So what I think we should do, my suggestion, is look at some drafts or ordinances in other areas similar to us, whether that be Monterey or Ventura or Santa Barbara, because we're California and we have the Coastal Commission that not a lot of places have to deal with. We're very specific, that's an issue for us particularly. So I think if we can learn where similar California coastal towns have drafted ordinances, that would be a great jumping off spot for us, I think. And I am loving to spearhead that and be a part of that. I thought I had one more week to get that stuff done, so I apologize.
So, Charles, isn't that what you've already kind of done with this?
Yeah, well, in the sense of the document that we have now is based on the vacation rental ordinances in Los Osos, in Baywood, in Cambria, in Morro Bay, in Grover Beach,
Mm-hmm.
in Pismo. I mean, I looked at all of those
Mm-hmm.
and drew more heavily. So I was saying earlier about this is really kind of a cut and paste. The vacation rental ordinance is largely a cut and paste with both the existing, I mean, there's an existing set of regulations. There's the coastal side and the inland side.
Right.
For communities like ours,
Mm-hmm.
like Los Osos and Cambria.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, the guts of the thing. And then it's really the those kind of like, how do we want to structure our controls of it? I mean, there's different formulas that different communities have used. The no vacation rental can be closer than 500 feet to the other next vacation rental, or there's a limit on the number that can be per block or census tract or whatever.
I know AG has one where you can't be a corporation. It has to, the permit to be a short-term vacation rental can only be in an individual's name. No businesses are allowed to obtain those permits in the city of Arroyo Grande.
No LLCs.
That's in here.
Funds.
Or so-and-so property management company, etc.
Yeah.
That's in here, and that's actually one of the nitpicky things I had. Owner may not be a corporation or partnership. I'm thinking, what about husbands and wives, and they put it one house under their kids and one house under their wife and one house under them, one house under their other son, and that was the only thing. It's like I don't know how to get around that.
If people are that wealthy and have that kind of time to invest to circumnavigate the, the rules, you know, I mean, it all has to be put on a Schedule E if they're gonna do that. I mean, each person who's claiming this rental has to put it on their tax return. There's a bigger ripple effect to a decision to create a rental under a person's name.
Right, but I mean, the thing is, if you limit it to one vacation rental per owner, so he puts, you know, his daughter owns this,
I understand.
his son owns that one, his wife owns this one. You know, I just don't know, I don't know how to reconcile that. That, as you said, that's nitpicky. I thought everything is basic.
Mhm.
Well,
And I think, well, we'll have you know, a number of those kind of points or questions come up when this gets out into the public arena.
Right. There are a million loopholes to be found
Yeah.
if people want to search for them. I mean, in everything, in whatever it may be. I do know that in other areas within SLO County that are coastal non-cities, that the community worked hard to get these passed or dealt with. We really could use some community support so that when we present this to the Board of Supervisors, it's not just 4 particular people or 5 or 7 particular people who are all part of one organization or the same 2 organizations. Doesn't mean I think that we could start doing is working and making maybe some workshops or inviting the public just to put feelers out to see if people would like to talk about this. And the other thing that I have learned recently is that when the company Airbnb gets wind of these things, they start mass communicating with their Airbnb property owners in their particular area that this is happening to rally to oppose any of this. So if there's 4 of us and they can rally 100 Airbnb property owners against it, against change, against a moratorium, you know, we could really use some more public support before we get too far down the line.
Well,
That's my suggestion.
that's interesting because I would think Airbnb and VRBOs have a vested interest in not having vacation rentals.
Why? They are exactly what is wanted.
No, I mean, well, maybe I'm misunderstanding what, you know, you mean by with the terms you're using, but an Airbnb is in an owner occupied home or residence, and they rent out a room for a period of time. That's not a vacation rental.
They're both. Airbnb does both. You can rent an entire cabin, cottage, building of its own on property, or you can rent a room in a home or a guest house on the same property with the owner. There's multiple, you can rent a boat.
Yeah.
And stay on a boat if you want to.
Okay, well, so then they just have it all lumped together.
Yes, they just literally, it's just vacation, short-term vacation rentals in any capacity. Airbnb allows those on their website.
Okay.
If you follow their rules, obviously.
So then that's an educational issue, I think, to you know, distinguish between a vacation rental and an Airbnb.
Right.
And this is specifically about vacation rentals.
And when I say Airbnb, I mean the company Airbnb in this moment of our conversation.
Yeah.
But if we want to use the term short-term vacation rental, that could mean whether it's owner occupied on site or just an empty house, like any, you know, Beach Bums is a local vacation rental place, or, you know, the stuff that's over on the Strand that Linda Austin does. There are multiple companies locally that do vacation rentals. They're just short-term vacation rentals.
So,
Did I mute? Uh,
So
so
maybe,
maybe is the next meeting or the meeting after, you publicize that we're gonna be discussing vacation rentals and really just do notify the press, let them know, come give your ideas, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
do we want to do that a week from today?
Mm,
not a week
No,
today.
for
Yeah.
one, no, because I want to help get
She's
this
gotta get her
done. But
data.
also we have all the other staff, et cetera, possibly, and those aren't the meetings that we said we wanted to do that stuff at,
Yeah.
when we have county staff doing their stuff. So a month from now,
Yeah,
Okay.
and maybe in our ordinance, we could say, we are okay, we don't want to regulate short-term vacation rental rooms, or I guess
That it
we call,
is,
because I don't have an issue with those, like if it's just, one person or two, a couple renting a room. To me, I know it does take over the housing stock, but to me personally, I don't like them because it destroys the character of your neighborhood. And I would hate to be in a neighborhood where there's like 3 or 4 of them within a couple of blocks.
and they're empty of anybody local at all. So if your cat's missing, you can't just go knock on the neighbor's door because you don't really have neighbors anymore. They're all a bunch of strangers who are only there 2 or 3 days in a row to
Mhm.
go on the beach or to go eat at a restaurant.
I think there's a section in this document that defines the various types of rentals, right? That seeks to clarify that for people. That
Mhm.
this is specifically about short-term vacation rentals and the regulations on those. You can't rent them for more than 3 weeks. They can't be rented more than 3 times a month. Or I don't have them committed to memory. But I think the other, an Airbnb, well, which is a bed and breakfast. I mean, literally you have to have health department inspection. Then there's just you're renting out a room in your house, whether it's for a month or 6 months. You basically are renting to a roommate. Those are, I think that for a lot of people, that allows them to stay in their homes because they have a source of income
Right.
to augment, paying their property taxes and stuff.
And that's or paying the rent because rents are so high anymore.
Mhm.
But
Right.
that also is a big difference between taking away from the locals, the housing stock, whether multiple locals live in one house as roommates or extended family versus strangers coming in every Friday night and staying until Sunday and then leaving again.
Right.
Yeah, so that we would definitely exclude the ones who are living here, who work here, who are community members. That's not what we're trying to curb or restrict in any way. When
Right.
we couldn't really, if it's somebody lives in their house, they can have a roommate. I have a roommate.
Yeah.
So Charles, I think you've done a great job with this document. Could maybe just supplement it more with the residential vacation ordinance that was done by Cal Poly and throw in some of the other,
Yeah.
I don't know that we need, but it does seem like in a month, maybe have month or 2, I don't know, faster's nice, but to just have do more publicity and just say there's going to be a discussion and have an actual ordinance that we're proposing to look at.
Okay. Yeah, I can. Why don't I'll commit to having a revised document, a draft of a revised document to you all within a couple of weeks, and
Okay.
then so that we can have some back and forth before we bring it to a month from now for a agendized discussion, and whatever different points of view we have, then hopefully in that meeting, or maybe even in just the process of some back and forth between us over the document, we can get those straightened out or agreed upon. But then, I mean, ultimately, again, the goal is to get a document that we're comfortable getting into the process. I don't, and definitely I'm totally for advertising, you know, for our second, for our basically our business meeting of July, like, okay, this is on the agenda, here's the document, look it over, bring your comments, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, and then use that to inform any revisions we want to make that we think make sense, and, you know, help us meet the goal that we have to in terms of protecting rental stock in the community and neighborhood integrity.
I think you can definitely get press on this, so yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I was thinking.
And I think you got a great start. I mean, it's more than a start. You got like, you know, 85% of it done. So I mean, and it'll always change and once you get it to, you know, supervisors or something, or
Of course.
yeah.
Can I ask real quick then, did, Bonnie, did you, because I came in the middle of this, I apologize. Did you look at the, what I'm trying to understand, did you look at how many were Airbnbs or rentals in the areas? Did you look at that at all? Or is that something I can do?
I don't have any of that.
Okay, that, I don't know if you guys remember, I had made an original list of all the Airbnbs. So
You
I'm willing to.
you can get the county list of,
Right.
right.
Well, what I had found, Bonnie, were people who are not on the county list, but they are on the Airbnb website. So that was part of what I was incorporating into that
Not
was
delved into.
there are, you know, let's say 85 legitimate ones, but I found 137 total because some of them are not following the process like they're supposed to. So
Yeah.
I'm willing to commit to finishing that up and fine tuning it and making sure the numbers are accurate as of current so that we can have that to present as well to talk through at the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't know how you're getting that info because it's when you go to actually rent something on Airbnb, it doesn't really give you the vacation rental taxes until you like commit to renting it practically.
Mhm. Right. I don't need to know the taxes. I just need to know it's a place that's an Airbnb listed on Airbnb that the county is not showing as having a license to be a short-term vacation rental property.
Okay.
That's what I've been able to find.
So this is kind of this dark side out there of, it's really a smoking gun that I know when I couldn't remember the name of the planner that we worked with, April, that,
The guy way in the beginning,
no, the young woman that.
yes, I remember who you're talking about.
Who had shared a lot of this with her, right? And
Mhm.
sent her the data. And she
Right.
was sort of like,
She was interested, very interested.
oh my God. But it's like, do
Then
I
she
really want to touch this?
Right. And then
I
she
want to
left.
be the bearer of this news.
Right.
Now, I thought they had an outside agency
They
that
did, Bonnie, years ago, and
you don't now.
they cut that from the budget
Okay.
a while ago, and I have heard that they may have come back, but that's only recent if they have. But they did, they paid a service to go do basically what I've been doing for free
Figure that
for
out.
2 months and to make, you know, see which ones were listed and which ones weren't and go after those. And they cut that from the budget a while ago.
Okay.
Well,
Not like they don't have enough budget with the taxes to cover that.
I know, you
Well,
don't even,
and I thought that this was,
crazy.
I mean, this was basically a fee added to the owners of the rentals so that they were, in essence, funding the enforcement of the regulations on them.
right.
So that
That's
it was
part of it,
big
yeah.
one was that there was a number, you could call the agency if there was a big party going on at the vacation rental across the street
Mhm.
from you, and they would presumably handle this stuff.
Right, because in honesty, what was supposed to happen is if you did what you were supposed to do, and you're not an on-site owner, like in Bonnie's case, she lives at her place and rents out, but there are, as we know, houses that no one lives on. So what's required by the county is that you have to leave with the county a contact of who manages the place in your absence, who's local, so that if there's a complaint or an issue, the county will get a hold of those people, or it's posted on, so the neighbor can get a hold of them. But the ones that aren't following the rules, there is no way to do that. So no one knows, there's no one to turn it into, because the county is not even regulating this stuff anymore like they used to.
Okay.
And this is a big tax generator in Oceano. I mean, over the last 21 and 20, we averaged $500,000 a year in TOT taxes.
Yeah. And what that is, that's roughly about $450,000 more than the Oceano Airport brings into us in a year.
Yeah. And it's more than the $400,000 that the A22 was going to bring to support fire services.
So if they enforce what they already have, they'd be making better money.
Right.
I agree.
You're basically saying they are no longer checking, the county is
They
no longer
weren't.
checking to see if Airbnbs are in their system.
They stopped doing that a while ago.
They stopped doing it. Okay.
They stopped hiring that outside independent company that was doing that. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to check on that.
And so they were doing, April, you're saying that company was doing all of those jobs. They were looking for illegal.
That's all the job they were doing.
That was all they were doing.
That was all they were doing, was going to look and
Vacation rental compliance or something like that.
exactly. And so the reason that they're a business that does that is when they would find ones out of compliance, they would charge the county a fee, like a finder's fee, basically. And that's how they made their money.
Yeah.
And then the county goes, oh, well, now this place is on the hook because they now need to be in the system.
Yeah.
But they stopped using that service a while ago. And if they've started it back up in the last few months, that's news to me. Maybe they have, I don't know, but they went for a period of time not using them anymore.
I'll check.
Okay.
So who did the county hire then with the phone number to call if there was a party going on at a vacation rental that it would be enforced?
That would be on a local level, the county. The county itself would be the one that would go out and check the issue. But if it's a place that is in compliance, then there's a phone number in the system that says, like my address, 2180 Napomo Street. It would say, oh, if 2180 Napomo Street in the system has a complaint about it, then we have this phone number on file that is the property management company, or it's the owner, or it's the, whoever that is left in charge to deal with these things. But with the ones that aren't in compliance, there is no number to call because they're not in compliance. They're not even in the database.
Okay. Well, so Bonnie said she was going to check in and see what.
On that part. Yeah. And whoever they were paying, it was in the warrants. It's one of those things where I go, well, what's this company? And that's how I learned, oh, this is a company that they hired, a third-party company, to check for compliance on short-term vacation rentals. And then they did stop doing that for a period of time.
So,
I have no idea, but the thing might have been that, the company found they just couldn't make enough money doing what they were doing.
That could be too. Yeah, maybe they voluntarily chose not to. I have no idea.
yeah. Okay. Well, so
So I'll do my part on that. Sorry.
okay, and Bonnie, you're gonna check on stuff, and I'm gonna get a go in and clean this up some more and get that out to you all for more feedback, and then to get a final a final discussion document ready for the our second meeting in July. And,
Our first meeting in July,
our first meeting in July.
on the second week. That's where it gets.
Well,
That's probably 4th of July let me, oops. Let's check and make sure that we're, July would be the 7th.
7th and the 14th, we're meeting.
Mhm.
If we're, so 7th, we would be discussing it as, I mean, as a working group. And then we have it agendized on the, I'm sorry, on the 14th for a more promoted, advertised
For the public,
public presentation of this vacation rental.
and do it after, obviously, all the county people have done their reports and presentations, et cetera, so we don't eat up their time.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
alrighty.
all right.
So is our next item is curbs, gutters, and sidewalk report? I think so.
Yes.
So, whoops, you all know that, darn it, got myself out of the Zoom meeting. No, I got it now. Here we are.
Good.
That the grant for the infrastructure was the county pulled the rug out from underneath us. That seems to have moved into a lot of finger pointing and actually a change in protocols at SLOCOG, where they have now decided to have a monthly meeting with County Public Works as opposed to a once every 3 months meeting with County Public Works to better coordinate situations like the one that we got jammed up with. SLOCOG has committed formally at their last meeting, unanimous vote to approve that SLOCOG continue to stay engaged with the community of Oceano and continues to develop the grant application for the Oceano Safe Routes Infrastructure Enhancement. They have some title for it, but basically the grant and the project that the team developed over the last year, and that will be submitted in the cycle 7 active transportation program grant period, which is 2 years from now. And that's where it stands. Additionally, the Parent Teachers Association and the English Language Advancement Group, like committee, are all, I met with all of them yesterday, along with 3 members of SLOCOG, the head of the 2 heads of the rideshare program, and Stephen Hamamaikai, who you all know. And SLOCOG is actually willing to take the lead on a safe routes to school plan for Oceano Elementary School, and they want to use it as a demonstration project to develop. It turns out that nobody, including the county and SLOCOG, really have a document. I think you'll appreciate this, especially April, that if you want to do a safe routes to school plan for your school, there's no guidelines on what to do.
It's just a free-for-all.
And I mean, there's lots of information out there, and there's lots of examples, and there's lots of, I mean, you can go out and find 6 to 10 criteria that you can use, but
No template, no.
the basic template, and so they're willing to work on that and work with Oceano Elementary School, and I've encouraged Oceano Elementary School to either develop a safe routes to school working group or something, so that they are the they are representing Oceano in this. And that was just, I mean, that's my thought about it. I would rather that the school be leading this and the parents at the school than the Oceano Advisory Council appearing to be the lead on it. I mean, I'm in a way kind of working as just a citizen volunteer with them. And it's a great group of, well, basically moms and grandmothers that are, you know, want to get things improved, and you know, all very disappointed that the grant isn't going through, but they've identified immediate safety issues around the school. And basically the county has guidelines. I mean, there's rules about the signage in the neighborhoods. You know, you're driving down in the street and it says approaching school zone, you know, or, and then maybe further along, 25 miles an hour when kids are present. So within 500 feet of the school boundaries. So walk around and see if you can find any signs like that. And if you do, take a picture of it for me, because they're pretty much non-existent. And then the whole issue of, you know, at each corner of that rectangular school lot is a four-way stop. I mean, 18th and 17th Street, then you got Wilmar, and then you got Paso Robles. And those are high intensity crosswalks, especially between 8:30 and 8:55 in the morning. And we've gone out, I and a couple of other people, and we have counted crossings, the number of crossings at each of those intersections and other intersections, like where Warner Street comes in, or where Vista Street comes in. And it's the crosswalks are a mess. There's the term for the very highly visible crosswalks are the ones that have big yellow lines, and then they have a whole ladder kind of thing going across other yellow lines. I mean, so it's like, they're like BFD crosswalks, right? And right now you go over there and there's like, you know, one wimpy yellow line that hasn't been painted for like 6 years, faded. It's a total mess. The whole ecosystem of pedestrians has changed there over the last few years because they built 5 new classrooms on 18th Street. And that's where 4 buses line up in the morning to discharge a whole bunch of kids, while parents are double parking in the street, opening the doors, and their kids run out between this parked school buses. And then Diane, the crossing guards, trying to control all the stuff coming across on Vista as parents are speeding off to get to work. I mean, it's like, it's a mess, and it hasn't really been looked at. And so the county Public Works Department is now saying, oh, well, you know, these are immediate maintenance things. I mean, we want to take a look at that, and blah, 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 blah. And so the parents are really gun-ho on this, and hey, we want this. We'd like to really get this done before school starts next year. Tomorrow's the last day of school at Oceano Elementary. So there's this parent group that's motivated, and SlowCog is totally there supporting, and I think the County Public Works has gotten a message that they need to step up. I mean, one of the excuses they had was that about why they were not going to support the grant application was that they hadn't done a comparative assessment of like, well, what do other unincorporated towns around the community, around the county have, and is Oceano really kind of a high priority? And I'll pat myself on the back for biting my tongue really hard. And I did say that, you know, over 42 years, this has been well documented, and every assessment plan, survey, it's over and over and over. And
The community in need, a community.
absolutely, there should be this question. I guess I did say this perspective is really insulting to the community of Oceano.
Yep.
Mhm. So that's where we're at with that. Now, that being said, part of the grant that was we were wanting to submit on June 15th had a non-infrastructure component to it. It was like funding for more pedestrian and bike education classes at the school, bike and walk to school things, bike rodeos. And these are all things that came up in the family survey that parents want.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. It's all a nice combination. And so what the rideshare folks in SlowCog, which is Mallory Jenkins and Catalina, I've forgotten her last name. So they're putting together a non-infrastructure grant. And what I sent around to you is this this letter. I don't know if this is showing up enough for you to be able to read it.
Mhm.
So this is a letter that Mallory Jenkins asked me on behalf of all of us if the Oceano Advisory Council could write a letter of support for the non-infrastructure grant. And I told her that I would, sent me a template. I kind of personalized it to our agency and our council. And so I'm presenting this to you, both when I emailed it to you and this evening as an action item. As I said, the grant is due in 6 days. Her deadline to get the letters of support lined up and get them formatted into the document is tomorrow. So I'd like to have open this up for discussion on whether we want to support this letter of support, the letter of support for the grant that they're writing that will provide this to both these programs, both to Oceano Elementary School and to other schools in the county.
Well, this is great, Charles. I mean,
I'm great with it. Thank you.
Looks good to me. I can't answer for Lucia, but
It's all
Basically,
about the
fine.
community.
basically, Charles, this grant is just for painting crosswalks, educating children and maybe parents on safe
Yeah.
practices to go to school, like routes and stuff. How to,
I don't think
what it is.
I don't think it's about painting the sidewalk, doing crosswalks or sidewalks. I mean, or crosswalks or, putting red curbs in. That's more just within the county purview. This is about providing walking and biking, safety education classes for parents, for kids, doing the bike skills rodeos on campus, having maybe even doing a pilot program of the walking school bus. And if you've heard about that, it's like, you probably choose a neighborhood that has a pretty high concentration of kids, and you have a couple of parents that have been trained, and they start at one end of Warner Street and walk all the way down to the school. And typically what they do is you ever seen kindergartners walking along where they have
Yeah.
a rope and they're all holding on to it? So like the first, second, third graders are on a rope, and the fourth, fifth, and the little kids and the big kids, and the big kids help kind of like keeping the little kids in line, and the parents can walk along. And as they get to school, they just pick up more and more kids in the bus. And it's
Yeah,
a
so
pretty
it's more of
sweet
an
thing when it
education.
really works. So they were talking, because parents expressed interest in that. 22% of them expressed interest in that in the survey. So they talked about doing, possibly doing that, and it's so it's and what did she say? Well, Mallory said, well, we need to be kind of careful about raising people's expectations in the sense of like, well, talking to people about safe routes, training kids and being, safe pedestrians in a community where there is a huge lack of safe streets and sidewalks. And what I said back to her was like, well, I understand that there's sort of a presumption that there are already sidewalks and, safe intersections, and you're just kind of teaching kids how to utilize that system. But what does safe pedestrian walking look like in a community like ours?
Right.
What's the curriculum for that? Because 47% of the kids are walking to school at
Under
Oceana.
those conditions.
Right. And it was like, she was like, yeah, we really need to look at that. Mhm. So it's kind of cool, I think, even though we, unfortunately, I just hope that there's still going to be money available 2 years from now, because this was the perfect time for us to send that
It is.
grant.
It's that, and
I'll make a motion, we approve this letter to be sent to,
Okay, it's been moved by Bonnie to send this support letter
I
forward.
can't see the top of it, so.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then this passes, and I will, Aline, can you put this letter on letterhead for me?
Yeah, I already did that.
Oh, you did it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, then,
Thank you, Aline.
you can get that, you
Go in
can,
the Google Docs, you'll see it.
okay.
I just put it.
See, are you all, and you're all comfortable with your names being on this letter?
it's even spelled right. Thank you.
I do my best.
You did good. It was only 4 letters and they still messed it up.
Well, I did originally have a D-R-U-R-Y,
That's what it's always.
but I got it
changed
down. I
legally.
got it, Dury. I got it down now.
You got it. Thank you.
Are you okay with Lucia's name there, Bonnie? I think,
I would imagine, I can only imagine she would wholeheartedly approve, so,
okay.
I don't want to speak for her, but yeah, that's Lucia.
Yeah.
I think we
As
know.
long as you're okay with it,
I agree with that.
I can put you in there instead of her.
Okay, whatever works, is fine.
Okay, well, since you're the one voting on it, I think I will.
Okay,
So can you make that change, Aline?
What?
So on the signatures, put Bonnie there.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Because literally she's the one that
okay.
voted on it.
is approving
And then we're good. Okay,
the OBCA.
yeah. Okay. Right, we'll put, put OBCA representative as opposed to treasurer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think, is that all of our old business? Oh, well, there's,
Oh, the beautification award thing.
right, that's right, yeah,
And I have not gotten any further with that
okay,
either.
all
I'm
right.
just one hand clapping this week. My back surgery has not been as successful as I would have liked.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And I've got bookkeeping to catch up on, et cetera. And again, I fell down the Oceano Airport rabbit hole that offline, I think we should talk about.
Yeah, okay. Then let me see, on the website, Holly did some more upgrading. It wasn't much. She sent me an invoice for $30, and I paid that, wrote a check for that a few days ago. And as far as and that has been, other than we have we got the debit card straightened out, and our Squarespace annual fee was paid. So we have $240 expended from the what did that total we had, it was about 2230 or something like that.
Over
I don't
2,000.
have it down to the penny to report, but so we had those two expenditures that totaled $240 this past month.
Okay.
Which
I
I think,
would say real quick that I still don't see on the calendar page or the meetings page that
Right.
the calendar has that yet. So I just wanted to say that I know that was something we wanted.
so I think, Aline, you have an update on that one, right?
Yeah, so I did contact her. I haven't heard back from her. So I'm gonna send her another email I'm gonna check to see if she responds, and if not, I'll send another.
So the thing is that she doesn't have access to the Google account.
Oh.
And so Aline needs to get her
She has
the,
access to our website.
but she said she can't go in and do she has to, since it's a Google Calendar, she has to have access.
Oh, it might be an add-on on the website, Aline.
Oh, okay, I don't.
So Google
I'll send
Calendar
her-
may
I'll
be
send her
the-
all the passwords.
That makes sense.
Okay, so basically the oceanoadvisory.org@gmail, and then the
Yeah, I'll send her all the
three
passwords.
passwords.
Figure out what she.
Well, I don't want to say them on the recording.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly she needs, but I'll just say this, here's this password, here's this other password. I don't know which password you really, I think you're saying the Google Docs, I'll send that one.
Yeah, that's what she said she needed to get in there.
Because she has the website one already, so,
Right, she has all of that.
okay.
Okay, yeah, so that, hopefully that'll be fixed very soon.
Okay.
Anything else under there that, under old business that anybody wants to bring up?
Don't think so.
Do we have a,
Okay.
you have is there an OBCA report, Bonnie?
No, Lucia's been gone, so there's really, I don't have anything. Darlene, do you have anything? I don't really have anything. It'll be interesting. We have League of Women Voters in court tomorrow for the redistricting.
Right,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Are there any cleanups lined up in the near future for OBCA?
Once Lucia gets back, I'm sure we're gonna have one.
Okay.
Probably at the beach, because it'll be nice.
Aline, do you have the OCSD?
Well, yes, yes, we had a meeting. We have a new member. I'm sure most of you met him. He lives in the trailer parks. His name's
Montes, Mr. Montes.
Montez.
Montez.
I believe his first name's Steve or Steva. Yeah, he also helps with the video. I think he used to, I don't know if he works for them or just helps out, but yeah, so he's not part of our
video.
board. And yesterday we met. We basically just discussed and passed the garbage rate increase due to the new recycling law, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the name of it right now, but it'll be 21% increase in your garbage bill. So it is kind of significant, but if you compare it with other districts and other areas, we're like 10% lower. So that's something that our manager worked really hard to do, so that it, the increase wouldn't be as drastic as in other areas. Still 21% is 21%.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. And unfortunately, at this meeting, I mentioned it to Charles right after the meeting because I had to vent. They voted to take out the Oceano Advisory Council from a committee being represented as a committee. So I no longer can give a report about what we're doing there.
You can. You don't have to do it officially, but you can certainly tell us about the meetings.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry, I sort of missed that. What would happen?
Yeah.
Well, since Karen is leaving, this is her last year. I guess Shirley wants to like get familiar with all the committee, the fire, being on the fire committee, taking over that, the Five Cities Fire representative. And so she asked for us to look at the committees again, and if they could possibly have her as Karen's alternate and kind of get rid of some of her committees because she just wants to focus mainly on fire. And of course, everybody agreed, the majority agreed, so I just went along. You know how I am, I don't like to like rock the boat, so I go along. So basically, she handed over a couple of her water committees to me. And that's when it was, I believe it was Linda
No way.
who
I'm
made that
shocked.
motion or had that discussion, started that discussion. And
That's
everybody
not the Linda I know.
agreed. So yeah, that's what happened.
So basically, I mean, you were the OCSD's representative to Oceano Advisory Council, and you gave a report on what happens at OAC, right, on a monthly basis.
Because we were recognized as a formal committee.
Right, and now
You're not?
they no longer want to report from the
From
Oceano.
any advisory councils?
From any.
Well, I mean, we can just take a page out of our sister advisory council and just do it at the beginning on items not on the public agenda, for public comment not on the agenda.
We
Yeah,
can go,
absolutely.
there's a loophole, right?
Right. And it's not a loophole. It's, we're all part of the same great community that we want to be a member of. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's between Charles and I, take turns doing it or whatever. We can do a report and have it attached to the agenda. We don't even have to go in person.
mm,
Okay, we just have to get through 6.5 more months.
I know.
Well, I think this speaks volumes about the OCSD directors and not very much about the Oceano Advisory Council. I mean,
Exactly.
in terms of their willingness to collaborate, to cooperate on issues that should be of interest to any fair-minded member of our community and who has the community's interest as their priority
Right.
versus whatever particular individual interests or pets they
There's a
have.
through line through all of it, in the decades that the OAC's been around, the OCSD's been around. There's one constant in all of that. And she made her interest clearly at the last meeting of the Oceano Advisory Council.
Mhm,
So we'll just leave it at that. And
mhm.
Yeah.
6 months, that's all.
So that, I think that brings us to the end of our working meeting for,
Do we want to talk about items for future agenda?
yes, I would, yes. What are items we have for future agendas? I know we have vacation rental.
Yes, and the beautification award, I will have
Okay,
something by then.
okay. And yeah, I can't think of anything, anything new for myself.
I had a question then, real quick. We gave a determination, I don't know what you want to call it, advice of the Oceano Airport at our meeting, and I'm assuming turned that into the county with what we recommended or didn't recommend. So my question is, did we want to follow up with that to the Coastal Commission? Because they're the ones who would really be seeing or making this decision.
Let's put that on the agenda. I mean, I support putting that on the agenda. I think it's I think it's an important and appropriate question.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't, Aline, did you write up the report and send it
Did to the county.
on the airport?
Yeah, I wrote it up, but I sent it to the county.
To the county,
So
right?
we-
President.
It looked great. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
It was basically just that what we said.
So you
But
did
I
it well,
went
very well.
back to and listened to the meeting again on like the parts I thought were more important or juicy.
Oh, juicy. Yeah.
And well, you
April,
know, the
I
more
mean, let's agendize it for next week, and
I'll
since-
also do I don't know if I'll get it in time, a public records request for any other advisory councils recommendations when it came before them. What did they turn into the county? So that we kind of know everything that happens in our area about it.
Mhm. Okay, that's great. And since you have, I mean, you have really, you're kind of the expert on this one, April.
Oh, let me tell you, I'm getting more and more expert every hour.
And so, I mean, I know your plate's kind of full right now, but if you could think of like what you see as like, what are the top 5 bullet points that we want to, that if as a council, we want to present on this to the Coastal Commission to kick off a discussion.
Mhm.
I think that'd be really helpful to us.
I can do that, and I'll have a document prepared for the meeting that you can either attach to the
Yeah,
agenda.
we'll link it in there then. I mean,
Yeah.
we're committed.
But I suggest that Charles and I maybe have a chat as chair and vice chair. I had texted you earlier, Charles, about some stuff. And I think that if we could just have a coffee for an hour and I can clue you in on where I'm at right now and kind of fine tune that so that by next week, you know where I'm at, and by your guidance, we're going to present what makes the most sense.
Great. Yeah, let's try and get that done tomorrow, Friday or Saturday.
Tomorrow is Friday.
It hasn't been agendized on the Coastal Commission yet, has it?
What I understood is it's going to be on the July,
In July?
July. Yeah.
Okay.
There also was discussion that they were going to make it like a consent item,
Could be.
the airport.
Yeah.
Where they don't even go through the normal process. It would just be kind of a rubber stamped event. So we need to know that as well.
Right.
We could try to ask someone to pull it off.
I have them pull it.
Oh, that's true. They may not, but we could definitely ask for it if that's what they were doing.
And then there's this, you remember that, I can't remember who I asked, but I know that some of you were around when I asked the question about, might have been out at the airport, about this money that was coming in. Was this money, part of like an FAA grant that if the airport is shut down, the county is required to pay back? And I was assured that, no, this is from a enterprise fund and it's not in that FAA payback pile. But the article that I saw in the paper said it was going through the FAA to the airport. And so I just wonder if what that means and if we got a straight answer.
You did ask that during our tour. I recall that question. I have heard from an independent source that the money is enterprise funds. Basically, it's the slow airport that makes the money,
Right.
that is affording this. But I do recall reading about there being FAA funds in that article. So I think that's something that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it was almost like they were, yeah, that there are these enterprise funds, but they're basically kind of being laundered through the FAA. And I just wonder if like, yeah, so that, my question, I mean,
I
we're
understand.
gonna have to pay this one back.
I have a call into the airport for some other things, and I will write that down and ask that.
So I don't do, so last night, this last bit of information relevant to the airport and development. Cal Poly previewed the big survey, and there was I can't remember the exact numbers. I've got them on my phone, but it was around like almost like 65% of people want to leave the beach the way it is. The vehicles on the beach is fine. And then it was like 40-some percent or 50%, maybe more than that. I should be better prepared with this, and I apologize, but they that want to the airport's fine the way it is. But on the other hand, the questions about, do you want to have more jobs in Oceano? Absolutely. Do you want to have more housing in Oceano?
Housing.
Absolutely. Do you want to have more parks in Oceano? Absolutely. And as
Sales tax generated.
yeah, as Nick Alter pointed out, kind of in his discussion point, was that, with only 3% of the private land in Oceano undeveloped, and the only developable land is county owned. And so there's really no place to do all the things that you want to do if you don't utilize some of that stuff. So,
And I think people will say, well, the airport's innocuous. It doesn't hurt me. I don't have anything to do with it. It's there. It doesn't bother me personally, right? So I don't care. But once you do some analysis and you do some digging and you learn the truth about the airport and what a wasted asset it is that is owned by our county, then someone like me, if I learned those things, would be like, oh no, we need to do something about that airport. So I think educating the public with information like the Cal Poly information, the information that I've been gathering for the last week, and disseminating that out to the public, they would be shocked to learn what I'm learning. Shocked.
yeah. I took pictures of some of the PowerPoint things, so I'll put those together and I'll send them around to the council members so you can see
Okay.
the data. It's
We did talk a lot about what you just mentioned.
after I got
It was really kind of, and I kind of understood it. It's, the people have been fed the propaganda that if you remove cars from the beach, you're going to lose
Lose
financially.
money. Yeah.
People have been fed the propaganda that if you do away with the airport, like every third plane flying out of there with a life-saving mission is going to be defeated.
right.
So
Yeah.
we
Yes.
we discussed that that people just aren't educated on it, and that's a kind of another topic. But we did come away with some good stuff in that they want more they want more housing, which is unusual for this area. They really want a place to gather, which is odd. We really don't have a place to gather in Oceano. That's one thing they really want. So a lot of I think that the Cal Poly will be issuing a report to OAC and other entities. So you'll kind of get a nutshell of what they thought.
Yeah. Well, it's a extremely important and valuable report because it is the best science-based report representative of the community that's ever been done in terms of, scientific sampling, so that that you have, I think their margin of error is 6%.
Right. And once again, overwhelmingly, it was sidewalks I mean, it's been sidewalks, sidewalks, sidewalks for I don't know how many years. And once again, it's sidewalks.
Wasn't it 70% of people said, yes, we want
Huge.
sidewalks?
Huge.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
overwhelming.
We stopped riding horses. We need sidewalks.
It's the head,
Huge.
it's the head, it was the headline.
Yeah.
And I think the financial information on the airport is also going to be a really useful,
Mhm.
concrete.
Looking forward to that. Yeah.
So,
All right. Anything else? Were they good?
does somebody have access to the email so that if the county sends us referrals, that those are being checked now that we've had a changing of the guard?
I think Aline is the only person that has access at this point. And we're in process of trying to get me hooked into that as well.
There's only been one referral, and I'll contact the ice company. They're wanting to redo their well. It's kind of old.
So we'll work on that.
Uh-huh.
All right, that was it. Sorry, I was late, you guys.
Okay. Are we good?
We're good.
You good?
Okay,
I'll
already.
text you, Charles.
Good night, everybody. All right, thank you, April.
Bye. I don't even know how to get out of here. How do I get out of here?
I'll get you out.
Leave.
You want it? There we go.